Hello, it's Donna Asher, and today I want to talk to you about a concept that I've been thinking about a little bit lately, especially with some clients that I've been working with, about you reap what you sow. Before I dive into the content of the video, I just want to say if you like this video, make sure you go ahead and click the little like button. It really does help with that YouTube algorithm, and it's going to tell me what you like so I know what to make more of. If you really like me, please make sure to subscribe and click the little bell so that you get notified whenever I release a new video. Right, let's dive back in. And more importantly and more in depth, it's basically, well, what you put out into the universe is what you attract back. So how does this work? What happens here? Because more and more often I'm talking to people who are struggling within their business. And then when you talk to them about the very things that they're struggling with, it's almost as if they are creating that struggle for themselves. So for instance, people who aren't able to make money, but then who aren't willing to spend money. And that's a big one. They won't spend money on themselves to learn what they need to do, and yet then they expect people to come and spend money with them, and it just doesn't work. And the thing that I've been trying to work out is why? Why is that so? And I've come up with a couple of different reasons that I want to discuss with you. Now, this is probably not the complete, I'm not a psychologist, I am a hypnotherapist and psychotherapist, but I'm not a trained psychologist. So maybe I'm missing something here, but why is it that we reap what we sow? Why is it that what we put out into the universe is what we often get back? And I have two theories behind this, and they work together. So the first theory is that our belief system, so our underlying belief system, which often we're aware of, often we're unaware of, more often than not we're unaware of a lot of unconscious stuff that's going on in our head. And it's that belief system which is kind of like the mapping. So we think that we're normal, we think that the way we see the world is how everybody sees the world, but that's not true. We have a unique perspective on the world, which is made up of what we experience as children, as adults, and beliefs that we formed around that stuff. So we have this mapping in our brain, and I sometimes think of it as like walls that are put down and barricades and things that we're not even aware that are there. So we conceptualize and believe things, and we think that that's the truth, but in reality, it's just our belief about that thing. And you may have experienced this when you're talking to somebody and you just can't understand why they can't get the bigger picture. And it's because they can't get the bigger picture because of their belief system. And once we form a belief, especially a limiting belief, our brain goes out to protect us even more by viewing stuff and interpreting things in such a way that it backs up that belief. So when we have these limiting self-beliefs that we formed when we were children, and often they're self-worth beliefs, they might be success beliefs, they might be money beliefs, fears about different things. We might see somebody who was like wildly successful one minute and then bankrupt and bereft and maybe committed suicide or something the next. In our head, we formed this unconscious belief that success leads to death. Okay, that's a pretty extreme example, but that can happen. I talked to a client who desperately wanted success, but on the other hand, she feared it because she knew that when she started to make the money she wanted to, that her family, who had pretty much cut her off, would come to her asking her for money, and she was fearing the confrontation that would come from that. So you see how that works? On one hand, she wanted success. On the other hand, she was fearing something that would come with that very success, and that fear was what was blocking her from doing what she needed to do to have that success. So we have these limiting beliefs and these unconscious stuff that's going on, which is what creates the mapping of our mind and how we work. And we're often unaware of these things, which is where our problems come in, because we're trying to create something and our adult mind believes one thing. It's like the still lake. But there's all this stuff going underneath the water, underneath the surface of the water, that often we're unaware of. And that's the reality of where our actions come from. So if you've ever wondered why you're procrastinating over something, why, for someone who's like a dieter who can't stop eating, like desperately they want to lose weight, but for some reason they can't stop putting food in their mouth. What's going on there? Something very, very deep and unconscious is going on there. And until they uncover that and release that, then they're never going to be able to get the goal of what they want. Sure, they can have momentary success. It's a little bit like trying to, I got this from Brooke Castillo, the life coach school, trying to hold a beach ball underwater. You can do it for so long, but eventually it's going to pop back up again, all right? So these unconscious things that we have are what forms the mapping of our mind and our actions. So we can be trying very hard to achieve one thing, but then very subtly self-sabotaging ourselves along the way through procrastination. Shiny object syndrome, that's a big one. People don't realize that that's actually a form of self-sabotage. They just think that they're onto the next thing, onto the next thing, onto the next thing. But really what shiny object syndrome stops you from doing is concentrating on one thing long enough to actually have success. You know, it's like we try it, didn't work, we're off and running again. And I've been so guilty of this in the past, where, and even to the point where not so much shiny object syndrome, but I would create and then move on before I was able to have success from that. To me, I loved the creation, but I never actually kind of like settled in and worked with what I created and just went, yeah, this is it. This is what I'm creating. So I had some stuff going on there that I had to clear before I could, and it was money stuff for me. Money beliefs that I've cleared recently that has allowed me to really have peace and to stop the running on the rat wheel all the time. So procrastination, shiny object syndrome, getting distracted, and then there's energy blocks. So we basically just have these energy blocks. And I see that as almost like the energy that we're vibrating at. We need to be vibrating at an energy that's the same as the person that has had the success. So if we think about quantum field and quantum physics and the fact that they're all limitless potentials and there's all these different versions of ourselves that have already achieved what we want to achieve out there, okay? And this is all science, all right? This isn't just, I know it sounds very woo-woo, but this is all science, quantum science. So the person that we are that has already achieved what we want to achieve is vibrating at a certain energetic level. And for us to become that person, we have to raise our energy level and to the same level as that person so that we can actually step into them. So energy blocks, things that are blocking us from being able to raise our energy to the point where we can become them. Okay, so these are also things, and unconscious beliefs can block that energy because they can stop us from being able to have the joy now that we're going to have when we have achieved it. And we need to have that joy now to be able to raise our energy level so that we can step into that future you. So on one hand, we have our limiting self-beliefs, and on the other hand we have our energy level that needs to be raised to be able to move forward. And that can be difficult because when you're not having the success that you want, to be able to raise your energy level and hold it high enough for long enough to be able to have the shift that you need is difficult. And sometimes it's kind of like we're like, I'm holding it, because that's the way you feel and you're not really doing it. And for me it was the case of surrendering. I needed to surrender and just let go. And I would surrender in such a way, I think I was surrendering it. I was kind of like, all right, I'm surrendering. How long do I have to surrender for? And that's what I would find myself thinking, right? In which case I hadn't surrendered at all. Okay, so that's the first thing, our limiting self-beliefs and the vibrational energy that comes from that. Now, the second one is about that vibrational energy. So whatever vibrational energy at now, we are attracting that to us. It's almost like a magnet or a mirror. So if our vibrational energy is at one level and our beliefs are at one level, then we're going to attract people like that to ourselves. So for instance, if you don't truly believe that you can have success, then you can attract people to you that also don't truly believe that they will have success. If you secretly fear money, then you will attract people who secretly fear money. If you won't spend money on yourself, then you will attract people to you who also won't spend money on themselves. And that, when you're trying to build a business online, you want to work with people, you want to help them, you need to get paid for that time, right? If you're going to spend a lot of time and commit to somebody, you need to get paid for that time. So if they're not willing to spend money, then they're not going to be a client. And yet if that's what you're doing, if you're not willing to spend money on yourself to learn what you need to know, to learn what you need to do, then you're going to attract the same sort of people to you. And that's frustrating, right? And until you realize that's one, some sort of limiting self-belief in your head that is stopping you from spending that money, okay? And two, the energy level that puts you at, the vibrational energy, is what is bringing other people at a vibrational energy to you, kind of like a magnet or a mirror. And it's almost like we get caught up in their story, all right? So there might be a lot of people that you talk to, but for some reason we get caught up and entangled in the story of the person who matches our own vibrational energy. Okay, so what can we do about this? So I said there was two things, and then I kind of blended them together. So I hope that made sense. So one is our limiting self-beliefs, our unconscious belief, our mapping system, which is leading to our actions. Okay, and it is our actions that dictate our success or our non-success, or our actions or our inactions, right? Our thought process and how we think about ourselves, everything that goes into there, it's so complex and subtle, and we are self-sabotaging ourselves if we don't truly believe that we can do this, and we don't believe in our worth. Then that leads to our energy level and us attracting other people like ourselves. So if we want to be truly successful, we need to vibrate at an energy level that, one, allows us to become the person who is truly successful already, but two, attracts other people to us that are at that same vibrational energy so that we can bring them into our business and work with them. Okay, so what can we do? All right, so if you have this unconscious mapping system, like, it's one thing to think things through and to be able to work through them and to be able to choose a different belief, and that works very, very well. But if you're totally unaware of the belief, if you don't even know that it's there because it comes from some memory from when you're, I've got clients that I've worked with as a hypnotherapist where the memory we go back to is pre-verbal. So they're not actually even able to talk. And that's always really interesting, because when you ask them a question, it's quite funny, because even though you're talking to the adult them, it's the child them answering through them, and they can't answer you how they feel because they didn't have words for it back then. So some of these limiting self-beliefs formed when we were pre-verbal, little babies, children. They're not things that you're going to be able to consciously become aware of because they are so deep down inside. And yet that they are there, almost like they're a weakness in the foundation, creating cracks within the foundation of what you were trying to create now, right? Which is your business. They're undermining it. It's like you've got a really brand new program, you've got a great new computer, but you've got this old software running it. And it's like this software that was created by the child that was traumatized and came up with all these ways to protect itself because it wasn't at a stage where it was able to work through and process these emotions. And this child formed belief systems at that point in time. Now, sometimes you might become aware of those beliefs. Sometimes you become aware of the belief, but you don't know where it came from. And often just being aware of it is enough to dissolve it. Sometimes it's not. You need to be able to release the physical manifestation within your body, okay? The emotions and the feelings within your body, the physiological form of that, the psychological form of that, the emotive form of that. All these things often need to be released. They're trapped within the body. These things need to be released before this can be actually resolved. So what do you do if you think that this might be you? If you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, I'm stuck. There's something going on there. There's something, I'm self-sabotaging. I can't stop myself. I, as an adult, I believe in myself, but I'm acting in a way that shows that I don't. Then I want to invite you, if that's you, to jump on a call with me. Okay, I have a unique skill set. A unique set of skill sets. So one, I'm a digital marketer, I'm an author, I've got my own business. I can help you with that how to, what do you need to do to build your business online? Let's work from the ground up through the research right up to creating the, how do you bring people to you? How do you engage them? How do you move to sales? I'm a sales coach, so I can teach people how to have sales conversations and bring people into the business that way. I can create all the tech side of it. So that's all one side, the how-to part of the business. But on the other side, I'm an analytical hypnotherapist and psychotherapist. So I dig deep with my clients to uncover these limiting self-beliefs so that we can release them. And it's not just about having an amazing business, it's about having an amazing life. And these things are often down there, they're influencing how we see life, whether or not we're able to express and feel joy, but also our relationships with other people. So when we release them, not only are we able to move forward in our business, but we're able to move forward in our life and have a better life because of it. So I hope that you've got something out of this video on, we reap what we sow, okay? So if we have limiting self-beliefs, if we're acting at a vibrational energy, we're going to reap that. We're going to bring people to us that are like that as well. We're going to attract the people whose vibrational energy that we match, and we're going to be dealing with the same problems in those people that we actually have within ourselves. And I hope that if you thinking that is you, then jump on my calendar for a success session. So I will put the link to that below this video or with this video. But if for some reason you can't see that, it's donnajoyasher.com/success-session. So jump on my calendar if you want to talk so that what we're going to do in that success session is basically have a look at where you are now, have a look at where you want to be, what your goals are, for whether it's just your life or whether it's your business or whether it's both. And then we're going to look at what is slowing you down, staying in the way, stopping you from being able to have these goals. Because these are often goals that you've been striving towards for a very long time. And you know that your life is going to be amazing when you get there. So let's analyze and see what's stopping you from having that. And then we can see if and how I can help you overcome those obstacles, whether or not they're how-to tech business issues, or what do I need to do to grow my business, or whether it's something deeper going on inside you that we need to resolve so that you can go on to have that success that you deserve. So I hope you jump on my calendar. I look forward to meeting you very, very soon.